we go.
All right.
And we're live.
Yes. All right. This all
Yay.
looks like we're back in business. All right. We'll give people a couple minutes to join in. We were having some Facebook technical difficulties. It said starting your live, and it said
nothing
live,
happened.
but we were definitely not live yet. So, but we are here now.
We're here.
Hopefully people will hop on. If you checked in a couple minutes ago and we weren't live yet,
Two people are watching.
we are here now. Yeah, people are hopping on.
There we go.
Good.
Yeah.
Oh, I can turn that. Maybe I can make that bigger. No, of course not. Okay. All right. I'm messing with settings to see what'll work. Okay. All right. And
Yeah, as people join in, if you have any questions, feel free to put those in the comments. We'll get to those in a little bit.
yeah.
Hello.
There we go. Excellent. And I can pin this. And then people can find us easier on our page. All right. Hello from Cleveland. Thanks for joining us. All right. Excellent. So, well, we'll just get started.
Dive right in.
Yeah, we have some fun topics to chat about this week, or this month, I guess. It's, every day we have new topics we could talk about. Probably get sick of seeing us by then, though. So the main thing that we want to talk about today is standing out in auditions. So something that we are constantly hearing more and more in auditions is people trying to stand out, which makes sense. People trying to do something different, but a lot of times being different for the sake of being different versus having the personality and having the read that actually stands out.
Yeah. What is that line? What is too much? Too much.
Yes, because that is,
That's a good question.
There is that fine line between you're playing it safe, not doing enough with it, and you're going
Being
a little
cuckoo
bit
bananas.
too far. Yes, and I feel like I mean there's might be something out there that is telling you to do this, because the more we hear it, the more we're wondering, like, is somebody recommending that you do this? So you're gonna hear it here from the casting team about what is too far. So it's, obviously there are ways to ad lib, there are ways to personalize your read so that it is you, making sure that your auditions have personality, they have a sense of an opinion, an intention, something that is uniquely you. But you shouldn't have to try too hard to be you.
Yeah. Don't do anything that's pushing or that feels unnatural.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably an indication that you're going too far or you're overthinking it.
Yes. Bring yourself to it. It's like, okay, how would you talk if you were excited about something and you're just talking to a good friend? That is probably more the personality that we need than I'm going to do something crazy. So something that we've been hearing a lot of is singing in random places.
Without it being requested.
Yes. We have been hearing so many auditions where people are literally just singing the first line with no indication that is needed, wanted, works for the copy, anything like that.
It's not a lead-in that they forgot to edit out.
No. They are literally taking the first sentence of the script and singing it. It definitely stands out.
Makes you memorable, but maybe not for the right reasons.
Yeah. So this is one of those situations I would say, it's so often people say, like, well, any publicity is good publicity, right? Probably not. Not in this case. So will it stand out? Yes. Will it be memorable?
Yes.
Yes. But probably not for the right reasons.
You're not booking that job.
No. No. You know, I often talk about how, you know, we will often on our projects, you know, throw in a wild card. Somebody who's like a little bit different from the spec but still really works. But I can tell you that singing the first line when it's not needed or doesn't work is not going to make you that wild card either. You know, the things that really stand out as far as being different are the things that are uniquely you. So that can be, I mean, that can be ad-libbing, that can be any sort of audible sounds, whether it's a laugh or a sigh, things like that. I know that people tell you not to do too much of that. Like, oh, don't laugh in an audition. Yes, okay. In a final spot, they will probably cut the laugh out. I just heard a client in a session last week actually be like, oh, we're getting a little giggly because she was like, did a line where it had an almost laugh. But in a session, sure, they'll cut that out. But in an audition, that gives you personality.
I'm a sucker for a good laugh. If it's natural, you know, and if, again, now that I say that, everything's going to have a laugh in it. But when it feels natural, when it feels appropriate, like it just really makes it feel natural, makes it feel like a real person. Like if this conversation was actually happening, yeah, there probably would be that little chuckle in there, and it just pulls it off the page a little bit more.
Yeah, if it works, you know, and it's like you're not trying to do anything that's offbeat just to stand out. And I think that is where some of that misconception has come in, where it's like, oh, we need to stand out. The audition has to stand out. It doesn't have to be like the final spot is going to be, because most of the time that's not going to stand out. But you also shouldn't have to try too hard to stand out, I think is the biggest thing. You should be able to simplify, be yourself, be unapologetically you. Bring yourself to that script, and that is really going to be what stands out. You know, be specific in, you know, who you're talking to, and, you know, all of that. It's voice acting, right? We always come back to it's voice acting. Know who you're talking to. Yeah, know how you feel about the script. Know how you feel about the product that you're talking about.
Yeah, problem and solution.
Yep. It always comes back to that authenticity and just bringing yourself to it. So making sure, you know, you're not trying too hard. And honestly, this advice should hopefully make auditioning a little bit easier. You don't have to sit there and think of all the different ways you can stand out.
What can I do to be different? Yeah.
I will also tell you one of the things that really stands out to me, and maybe you too, Catherine, sometimes is emphasis. Like if somebody emphasizes a different word in the first sentence, that is huge, because I mean, I was clicking through 1,200 auditions yesterday, and holy guacamole, those were like everybody had the same cadence. They hit the same words, they put the beats in the same spots. It was identical. The only thing different were the voices. And a lot of those were, you know, similar as well. So it's like if somebody just did something a little bit different, and that just goes to say that your instinct is probably everybody else's first instinct. So again, it's playing with the copy, finding other ways that you can read it, especially that first sentence. You've got 3 to 5 seconds to capture us, and that's it.
That's something I tell people all the time. I mean, obviously in a script, if something is underlined or bolded, italicized, capitalized, that's the script writer's way of telling you to hit this word. But they don't do that for every script or every line, you know? So you yourself as an actor read through it and find, you know, within each sentence, find one word that you can just highlight a little bit, you know, and again, as it is natural, you know, don't force it, but finding those words, and it just, again, like Kelly was saying, makes it stand out. It'll be something different. It'll be a choice that maybe not everyone else is making. So yeah, find those words you can kind of emphasize or highlight a little bit more color with your voice, you know, that weren't already given to you.
Yeah, it's a huge thing, you know, and I think there are just so many misconceptions around it that, you know, a lot of people just think I need to go a little crazy and, you know, put my craziest take first. And it's like, Well, put what you feel is your strongest take first.
Mm-hmm.
And most people, not everybody, most people will find that their strongest take is the one where they are just themselves, just have that natural personality, that authenticity, and that's really what's gonna stand out to us as well.
And kind of along those lines, if you see in a script, feel free to ad lib or feel free to improvise. Again, feel free to do that, but don't take over the script and completely rewrite it, or go completely off the wall with that either. I mean, it's an invitation to play, but still keep it reasonable. You're if you completely change up the script, you're going to make somebody very angry. So
Yep.
keep it minimal. Don't have a really long lead in or something like that. It's like, wait a minute, where's the script? What are they talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Keep things short and sweet.
And changing lines, you really don't, like Catherine was saying, you don't want to change the copy. The copy needs to be as it is. And, ad libs, think of it as ad libbing. You're adding something to it. That's
a little button at the end is
Mhm.
perfect. Just some nice little thing
Yep.
that just
Yep.
ties a nice little bow at the end of the spot.
Yep. And sometimes those little laughs or,
Mhm.
a quick lead in that works but could
Yep.
be cut out, so
Mhm.
that lead in might capture our attention, but then we know, okay, the client's not going to want to hear that, so we'll edit it out before we submit you to the client. So, things like that happen as well. We're often flip-flopping takes and things like that too, to make sure we're putting the best stuff forward first. Good. All right. Shall we open it up to
Yeah.
questions? I see Tim's authenticity is what, yes, 100%. That's what we're
Mhm.
looking for.
Because no one else sounds like you.
Yeah.
You're the Tim Powers. You're the only Tim Powers that sounds the way Tim Powers does.
Yeah.
So just being true to you and bringing that to the spot. That's what's going to shine through. That's what people are going to notice, and that's what clients are going to like.
Yep. It gives us, it. One thing I love about that too is when I can hear somebody's personality, it gives me a glimpse into like, oh, they kind of seem like they'd be fun to work with,
Yeah.
or things like that, and that does make a difference. And as casting directors, I say this all the time, but we're a luxury in the online casting world. We do things the old school way, where it's like we're actually listening to the voices. We are actually sending our clients very few options who all fit the spec and gave solid performances. That's not everything out there. So it's like, I said we had 1,200 submissions yesterday. Yeah, we narrowed that down to 30. We submitted 30 people out of 1,200. And I don't mean that to be, discouraging for you, but it is one of those things where give us any reason to not submit you. And in a lot of ways, that makes our lives a little bit easier. So make our lives difficult, please.
Stop singing when it's not asked for.
Oh, the singing. There has been such an uptick in singing. I'm like, there's got to be like a podcast or
Right.
something. Somebody out there is telling people to do this. I don't know who.
What are some common mistakes we hear in auditions? Slating when they don't ask for one, or
simple things like that. Yeah, not labeling correctly.
Just not following directions.
The copy, saying things incorrectly, mixing up words, things like that.
Make sure you say the product name correctly, and if you don't know, look it up. Don't just assume.
Oh my gosh, we had so many. We just did a project, and it was like there were far too many mispronunciations, and some of them were just I mean, they had me laughing because I was like, that is so wrong. So yes, at least if nothing else, look up the product name. We do hear things mispronounced all the time like that. Something like data and data, not going to make or break an audition. Mispronouncing the product name,
that'll
probably
that won't go over well with the client.
Yeah, they're not going to want that. The other thing is timing is sometimes an issue. where, you know, it's like, okay, it's a 30-second spot. And maybe the client is saying, hey, we need this to come in 28. So it's like, okay, you know, we'll put out in the audition that it needs to be within 28 seconds. And if all of your takes are 33, 35, things like that, that is something that we have to be careful of.
And that could be another podcast episode, is what do you do when the copy's overwritten?
Yeah. We can definitely go in depth with that for sure.
I guess a whole other.
But, you know, get at least one take within the timing requested, and then if the other ones are a little bit longer, that's fine. Yeah. So yeah, there aren't. I mean, there are tons of mistakes we hear, but not too many. Yeah, and not too many that will truly make or break. You know, it really is making weird choices is one of the biggest things that stands out. Making weird choices.
Just for the sake of being weird.
No reason other than, like, oh, well, nobody else is going to do this. It's like,
yeah, for a good reason.
Yeah.
I'm just going to do this one in a British accent.
Yeah. Yeah. Bummer, I just took 6 weeks of singing.
Yeah. Phil's being fun.
Nice, Phil. Man, those 6 weeks.
Hey, that'll still come in handy.
Yeah. I mean, there's still jingles and...
There's still jingles and just the breath control that you'll develop from that, you know. Yeah.
Yeah. So is it...
Data or data? I'd say it's 50-50.
It, honestly...
It's one of those things.
If they don't have it written out how they want it said...
Say it your way.
Say it whatever way you
naturally
say. Yeah. That's one of those things of just being you. You know, say it how you pronounce it.
Because both are perfectly acceptable.
Yeah.
And in the session, they'll tell you what they want.
Yeah.
Let's see. Virginia says, what do you recommend for making wordy text sound natural within the timing? Good question.
Sounding natural and meeting the time are so very different. Sometimes it's a matter of just plowing through the copy, just kind of simplifying, doing very little with it, keeping it more straightforward, just to hit that 28 seconds if it's overwritten, and then giving a read that is longer. Maybe it comes in at 33 seconds for the sake of the read.
Yeah. And sometimes just the more you read it, it'll just get easier and easier. So if you do have something that's really wordy, or that you just, you have a hard time getting your mouth around, work it out, read it out loud over and over and over again until you really get comfortable with it. And then hopefully that makes it easier to say in a timely fashion.
Yeah, use it as like a tongue twister kind of
exactly.
warm up. The other thing that I recommend is if something is really wordy, to paraphrase it. Just kind of go over in your head a few times how you would paraphrase that, how you would say it. Say it out loud like that a time or two, because then at least you've got more of that natural feel.
You'll sound like you know what you're talking about. Yeah.
And then when you translate that then back to the words that they have written, hopefully that comes out a little easier as well.
Excellent. Any other questions?
Other questions?
It can be about anything voiceover-wise, not just what we've talked about. Ooh. Explain right to work states. Can I audition for SAG if I live in a right to work state but aren't SAG eligible?
Yep. Yeah, right to work state is essentially you can work union and non-union. Totally fine. You can work under SAG contracts without being SAG.
And we do a lot of our casting anyway. If you aren't in the union and you get it from your agent or from us and are interested in doing it, we're happy to do a Taft-Hartley for you should you book it. That's not a problem.
Yeah. We get a lot of people
their first
into
SAG
the union that way all the time. Good. Any other questions, comments, concerns while we're here hanging out? All right.
Hear them all typing furiously.
I am going to take this lull to make a big announcement. So officially, as of last night, our very first digital VO training course is now live and available. So if we'll post a link with the video and everything, announcing it, but it is called The Basics of VO, and it's a 10 module course, about 90 minutes long. So, I mean, you could watch all the videos within one setting. And it's basically all of the basics of voiceover. So whether you're just getting started or you know somebody who's interested in voiceover, but they're not quite sure if, it's the thing that they want to pursue, this is the basics, how to get started, the areas of voiceover, who's who in voiceover. I give you a ton of reputable resources, all kinds of things. So we have 10 different modules in that digital course. It's a learn at your own pace sort of a thing. So it's not live, but we do also have a Facebook community with that. And any of our students can join our student Facebook community as well. So we have that, and that's super exciting. And we have other training modules in the editing phase right now, so those will be released as well. So yeah, that's super exciting. We have the first course available now, and you can go to our website for all of that information. But we'll be posting it on Facebook this afternoon as well. So sneak peek.
We've got another question in. What VO opportunities might we find in our local markets that aren't obvious?
That's a great question. Honestly, there are so many. So even just something as simple as like phone on hold messaging, talking to local businesses, seeing if they need, their after hours message recorded. I know a lot of people who make a couple $100 just by going around to different businesses and being like, hey, I'll record it professionally for you. Some of them obviously have bigger phone systems and might need a little bit more. Some, it might just be we're closed, here's our regular hours, that kind of a thing. Talk to doctor's offices, restaurants, anything like that. A lot of times you can drum up work that way.
I'd even reach out to maybe local radio stations, because they do a lot of their own commercials there. So maybe they need another voice. You always hear the DJs doing commercials and things, and they might be willing to let you in on that. And also, too, there's so many production companies all over the country. So if you've got, an advertising company that's right there in your area, reach out to them directly. You never know.
Yep. Yeah, there are a lot of different things out there, and it's just kind of, going through and seeing if anybody needs help with anything. It's, even talking to schools to see if they need, textbooks or certain lessons narrated.
I did that in college. I did reading books on tape for students who were blind or dyslexic. So
yep.
You never know.
Yep, there's still a lot of that. AI is not going to take over everything, I promise. But there is still a lot of that. So, yeah. I've even known people who just kind of go like, talk to a local restaurant, and they're like, "Oh, have you done any advertising? Like, even just a radio commercial? Like, I can voice it for you, and if you have any production skill, you could put it together. They could get it on the air, So there's things like that as well. But yeah. Good. Any other questions? Make sure I didn't miss anything. Awesome. All right.
We've got a small group today. That's all right.
Yeah, we had to switch from Tuesday. Thank you all for bearing with us on that. I have had a crazy cough respiratory thing, so kind of made my week a little extra crazy. But I'm here.
Need some coffee for your cough.
Coffee and coffee. One I like and one I don't like. All right. Any other questions? Anything at all? otherwise, we'll keep it short and sweet
Yeah.
today. We can. We have
Which is
a,
fine. We'll be back.
Yeah.
You can ask more questions later.
Yep, and you can always
Always
send
email
us.
us, too.
Yeah, you can always send us. Especially if you're not watching this live, you can also always send us questions that you have. You can send us a message through Instagram, Facebook, any of our social media. You can email us. We do have a form, a Google form as well, that you can just put in any questions. We are more than happy to answer that while we're doing our live sessions here. All right. Excellent. Then we will sign off for today, and
Yeah,
hopefully we will
talk
see you
to you
all
soon.
soon.